Ever feel like you're just running on empty? Like no matter how hard you push, you're just getting more and more worn out? What if the answer isn't some new productivity hack, but a really, really ancient story? Today, we're diving into Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to discover that the world's very first word, well, it wasn't work, it was rest. Let's get into it.
Seriously, why are we all so tired? It's like the defining question of our time, isn't it? We're constantly told to hustle, to optimize, to perform, to build our brand. But the result is often this deep, soul-level exhaustion that a whole weekend of sleep can't even seem to touch.
And in the face of all our burnout, the book of Genesis offers this radical alternative. It suggests that the entire universe isn't built on our anxious striving. It's an ancient text with a surprisingly modern message, one that goes right to the very root of why we feel so restless. So let's explore this together. Okay, so the first major idea here completely flips our modern script on its head. God's completed creation, humanity's very first full day on Earth, it doesn't start with a to-do list. It begins with an invitation to rest. Just listen to those powerful, final words. Finished, rested, blessed, holy. This isn't just a casual description, it's a declaration. God has completed his work, and he kicks off his new creation not with a command to get busy, but with this settled, celebratory rest. And this is the key. The word finished means the world isn't teetering on the brink of chaos, held together only by our frantic efforts. It's secure. It's sustained by a God who brings his work to completion. This speaks directly against that lie we all feel, that if we stop, everything will just collapse. And this slide really gets at the huge difference between our idea of rest and the biblical one. For us, rest is usually about escape, right? Just zoning out. But for the writers of Genesis, rest is about a settled, peaceful reign. It's not about doing nothing. It's about trusting that everything is in its right place because the king is on his throne. Then God declares the seventh day holy. In Hebrew, that's Kadash. It means to be set apart for a special divine purpose. And this is revolutionary. Think about it. The very first sacred thing in the entire Bible isn't a place or an object or a person. It's a block of time. In a culture that sees time as this enemy to be conquered, Genesis presents it as a sanctuary, a sacred space for connecting with God. And this theme of Sabbath rest, it just echoes through the whole Bible. And it finds its ultimate fulfillment in a person. Jesus actually calls himself the Lord of the Sabbath. He is the end of our anxious striving. He is God's final, it is finished over all our guilt and chaos. He is the rest our souls have been searching for. So, from this amazing foundation of rest, the story shifts. The camera, if you will, zooms in from the cosmos to the really intimate creation of humanity. And right here, we discover our own paradoxical and, beautiful identity. And notice the change in God's name. It's a huge clue. In Genesis 1, he's primarily God, or Elohim, the transcendent, all-powerful creator. But now, all of a sudden, he's the Lord God, Yahweh Elohim. Yahweh is God's personal covenant name. It's the name of the God who draws near, who binds himself to his people in love. The story is getting really personal. The Hebrew text here gives us this beautiful little wordplay that just unlocks our identity. The Adam, the human, is formed from the Adamah, the ground. And this isn't just some clever literary trick. It's a profound theological statement about who we are. Okay, so first part, you are dust. You are earthborn, you're finite, you're embodied. You are not a god, and you have limits. And I know that might sound a little bit depressing, but it's actually one of the most freeing truths you could ever embrace. It means you can stop pretending you have to be infinite. You can just be the creature you were made to be. But wait, that's only half the story. Because then the Lord God breathes into this dust the breath of life. You are animated by a divine gift, something you could never generate on your own. And that gives you an unshakable dignity. You're this incredible unity of humble earth and holy breath, made for communion with your Creator. So where does this brand new dust and breath human live? Well, God doesn't just create a survival habitat. No, he plants a garden, a place of just lavish generosity and overflowing life. This says so much about God's character. The trees in the garden are not just functional, good for food. They're also pleasant to the sight. Our Creator is an artist who delights in beauty. He's a God of both nourishment and wonder, of provision and poetry. Now, the text lingers on these precious materials, gold, bdellium, onyx stone, and there's a reason for it. These are the exact same materials later used to build the tabernacle and the temple, the places where God's presence would dwell with his people. The hint here is profound. Eden was the original temple. It was the place where heaven and earth overlapped. And speaking of that original temple, a river flows out from it. And this image of a life-giving river becomes one of the most powerful symbols in the entire Bible. It starts right here in Genesis. It flows through the prophetic visions of God's new temple. It gets reinterpreted by Jesus himself as the very spirit he gives us. And it culminates in that final, breathtaking vision of a new creation, just flooded with the life of God. So, how does this ancient story speak to our crazy modern lives? Well, it's not just theology for the sake of theology. It's a direct, personal invitation from the very heart of God to you and me. See, this passage is calling for a radical shift in our whole spiritual posture, from earning to receiving, from striving to trusting, from fear to grace. God is not waiting for you to prove yourself worthy. He has already made a place for you. So this ancient text really asks us a very modern and maybe tough question. In your career, in your relationships, in your spiritual life, where have you been operating out of this false belief that it all depends on you? Where are you trying to earn what God is freely offering as a gift? So where do we even start? Well, not with some massive, stressful life overhaul. We start with a small step of trust. This isn't about adding one more thing to your to-do list. It's about learning to receive. Maybe you can practice a mini Sabbath this week, even for just an hour. Just put away the hustle and receive God's love. Or maybe you could just pray with brutal honesty. God, I'm just dust. Breathe life into me. Or you could ask Jesus for that living water to flow into the driest parts of your soul. Or just create one small protected garden space in your life, a boundary to protect your own rest and growth. This is the invitation of Genesis: to stop striving, to receive God's grace, and to discover that the first and most beautiful word in all creation is rest.